What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dudes Who Bet Daily, and this is a special Magic Mike edition. Magic, how you doing? You are CFL'd out. I just noticed the hat, too.
Huzzah! Oh, wait, sorry, wrong show. Yeah, hey, good morning. That's great. Yeah, dude, I am all CFL'd out. I still rocking the Montreal Alouettes sweatshirt. Never in doubt last night. Holy shit, that was... By the way, Thursday Night Football, they can take a couple of notes from last night's game between the Alouettes. Two terrible teams put on a hell of a football game last night. And somehow we covered. We got 3.5 points is what we were playing with. Somehow we got a 4-point differential at the last few minutes, and they held. I couldn't believe it, Mike. I thought for sure it was tanked.
A lot of wild plays in that game. A nice goal line stand. It just back and forth football. It was fun to watch, especially since I had to watch the disaster that was the UTSA game for the first half, where they scored 17 points in the second quarter. But got shut out.
Well, there was the first quarter. There was nothing.
Got shut out in the first quarter. First quarter they got shut out all year. It's like unbelievable, guys. Way to do that. That's just wonderful. Just wonderful. All right. Anyway, we got a huge day here. We're going to talk some college football. We're going to talk some horse racing. Then we're going to jump into the 4 best bets that we have coming up from Keeneland, from you're doing, or Papa Dude's going college football and you're going CFL. Of course you're going CFL.
Of course.
So we got a little bit of everything here. We'll start out with the college football slate. Kicking off at noon, we got Penn State at Michigan right now. Michigan laying 7, the line 49. 7 seems like a lot of points in this spot. I don't necessarily trust Penn State on the road, but I don't really want to lay 7 with Michigan, who isn't exactly a dynamic offense.
So I was looking up some stats about the trends because I don't follow the American football as closely as you guys do. Wow, that sounds terrible. But the Michigan Wolverines, I'm from Michigan, so I know about U of M. And I asked some of my friends, and they were saying that Michigan's actually pretty good when they come off of a spread loss recently. And actually, the stats back it up. They're 4-0 in their last 4 games against the spread when they have an against the spread loss. So if you're thinking that that's too many points swinging, or if you're thinking that they're getting a good side here, that helps you the Michigan side. If you think that that's too many points, you could go with what the over under is interesting. I know Michigan's they're 1-5 against the over under right now. So if you want to try to play with that one, you could. Was it 49?
I wouldn't be shocked if it's an under game. You got Michigan, who kind of is a slower, methodical offense. Penn State, the same thing. You get 2 decent defenses. So maybe under 49 is the look that you want to go there. Heading on, we're going to talk about the Alabama-Tennessee. This is the marquee match of the day. Number 3, Alabama. Number 6, Tennessee. You've got Hooker, the starter for Tennessee, now into the Heisman race, but facing last year's Heisman winner and Bryce Young, who will return for Alabama. Spread jumped from 7 to 9 points this morning when it was officially announced that Bryce Young will play in this spot. Rocky Top is going to be absolutely exploding here. They have not had a game this big in Tennessee since like Peyton Manning era. So it has been a minute. Going to be absolutely crazy. Magic, what do you think here? Alabama at Tennessee.
I mean, the recent history says side with Alabama on this one. Their last 10 times in Tennessee, Alabama's 9-1 against the spread. The favorite is 5-1 in the last 6 meetings between these two teams. The over is pretty good when they play in Tennessee as well. But Alabama, this is a different Tennessee team, but at least for my money, this is still Alabama. It's still Nick Saban coaching. You really need to be an absolute monster. And all due respect to Tennessee and their Heisman wannabe quarterback, I'm sure he's fine. But no, I'm still going to ride with the Roll Tide. And I know Dr. Tang, by the way, he texted me last night to say how much he loved Alabama here too. So you got the Dr. Tang seal of approval on the Roll Tide as well.
I got that text as well. I haven't played this game yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. If you like Tennessee, just wait, because this line is just going to keep going up and up. It's interesting. The first 2 games we talk about, you have, I'm not going to say little brother syndrome, because I don't even know if they deserve that. But Tennessee and Penn State need to prove themselves big time. They get a chance today facing 2 top 10 opponents there. Last college football game we're going to talk about a little here. I wanted to talk NC State Syracuse because of my orange love, but we're going to go to a different orange team. We're going to go Oklahoma State at TCU. TCU laying the 4.5. This is the one game I've actually bet of these 3 games. I'm going to lay it with TCU here. Of the 13 undefeated teams left, Oklahoma State is the only one that ranks in the bottom 3 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. So for me, Oklahoma State's kind of a little fraudulent here as an undefeated team. They've struggled a little bit since they got into the Big Ten, and TCU's offense has absolutely been rolling.
Also, we know one thing as Racing Dudes employees is there's only ever one good football team in the state of Oklahoma, and it's not the Cowboys. Sonny Dykes is having a pretty good first year as a coach. TCU, they had that win over Kansas last week. TCU Horned Frogs right now, their last 5 games, they're 4-0-1 against the spread. They're 3-0-1 when they're playing a team with the winning record, which you outlined here is what Oklahoma State is. So, you can play the over here as well. To me, this feels like a game that's going to be the players are very excited for it. High emotions. There's going to be a lot of big plays, and you can see a lot of mistakes made on the defensive end because they're young kids and they're, again, emotions running high here. But I like it on TCU is that I see that they're catching they're eating 5 points right now from where I'm looking. But I really think the over could be a fun one to play as well.
There should be some points in there. And Oklahoma State's one of the teams I hate betting the over because they just slow down sometimes, and it just really pisses me off because you feel like you should.
But they're 4-1 against over/under right now.
And TCU is an offensive team. They do put up points. We saw that against Oklahoma. Sorry, Aaron, because man, they just loaded it on there. All right, let's jump over to horse racing. Before we get into what's going to happen today, let's talk a little about what has already happened. Modern Games runs about 35 minutes ago. Have you seen the race yet, Magic?
No, shoot! I was gonna watch it, and then I was getting ready for the show and everything. I got tuned out. What happened? I am very excited about this.
Innsbruck misses the break.
Oh,
Modern
no.
Games ends up running second to a 28-1 shot. Now, Modern Games did not quite take to the turf, so I'm not really going to hold this one too much against him. But you have two of the heavy favorite horses that are considering the Breeders' Cup. I think Modern Games for sure will come. Inspire, we're still waiting to hear whether or not he's going to join us over here on this side of the pond. Modern Games goes down. It was a softer turf. Modern Games has run a lot better on firm, harder ground. So I'm not going to hold that much against him here. I'm hoping it actually gets us a better price in the Breeders' Cup because people think he's now beatable, which I don't necessarily think he's beatable in the mile. Are you concerned at all that Modern Games goes down heading into the Breeders' Cup? And are you surprised they ran him here instead of just keeping him in North America?
Not surprised. Charlie Appleby and Aiden O'Brien, they do this with this is the top barns in Europe actually will do this, and they'll run them a couple of weeks before the Breeders' Cup and send them over. I mean, it's a little different. This isn't the ARC trying to do the ARC turf double, which is just different because you have the best turf horses in the world going to the ARC, and Champions Day, you're getting still some of the best ones. By the way, Baaid, speaking of best turf horses in the world, Baaid lost the last race as well. So Baaid goes down. Innsbruck goes down. Modern Games goes down. As far as Modern Games, I talked about this with Aaron. I was like, I really hope that he loses this race. And in this case, not even to Innsbruck, who she was the 4-5 favorite. You said it was a Bayside boy, 35-1. That's great for us because enough people who don't follow this are going to look at that and go, boy, they just ran him a few weeks ago. He got second. It wasn't a good, I don't know how close it was, but enough people will make an excuse for why, because they already didn't like Modern Games. And I know personally, some of them in our fantasy league don't like Modern Games already. This just is going to help his price. And for those of us on the been on Team Modern Games for a long time, this is awesome. Please bring him over. I would love to see that. Innsbruck, I can't comment on. She's a 3-year-old filly, but Modern Games, come on back, buddy.
Yeah, Innsbruck just draw a line through that effort. It just missed the break, never really had a chance, never ran a step after missing the break either. So I'm not worried about that effort from either of these top tier horses. We'll see if we get Alidar or Baaid over here for the Breeders' Cup. I have not heard anything on either of them, so we'll see what happens there. But it'd be nice to have a little more European influence. It's always fun when you have horses come over here from Europe that are the top tier, the enables, that it really creates a buzz, right? And so it'd be great to have Baaid here. We'll see if that happens or not. I'm not expecting it.
14-1 Baybridge is who got the job done on Baaid. Wow. Back-to-back huge upsets at the they call it Champions Day. That was the last big race for them today, but pretty exciting. All right, so horse racing. I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about that one. Did you want to go to Keeneland? Or you want to go to Royal?
Let's pick it up with Santa Anita. Not quite as interesting here. The third race in Santa Anita is the California Distaff $100,000 stakes race for the fillies, state bred, and there's two highlights here from Santa Anita today. Obviously, this race and then the pick six. There's a mandatory payout in the pick six today, expecting over $2 million to come into that pool. So that should be a fun pool to bet in. High variance races later in this card. A lot of maiden claimers. There are good favorites. Well, I should say there are bettable favorites that look like they should be capable of winning. But like I said, high variance because of these maiden claiming levels.
I want to say that as far as the third race being the feature, the one with legs galore, huge favorite, right? 4-5 on the morning line. And you talk about ways to try and make money. Since not in the pick six, you talked about pairing up with like the 3 with the 4 Eddie's New Dream in second for an exacta. I think you can do a nice double. You're getting 8-5 on the morning line for the 5 horse, which is an Amador Sanchez trainee that our boy Hector Barrios rode to win the debut at Del Mar in North America. I think that horse is pretty sharp here. I think you can pair that horse in a double, and there's enough horses in the second leg that you can get a decent enough price. Pair it with Legs Galore, start off, and you can build that bankroll for that pick 6, which you're going to need because, like you said, Mike, if you don't follow if you follow Stand and Eat every day, you're looking at these horses going maiden 50, maiden 50, maiden 20, maiden 40. Oh, there's a starter allowance. That's the biggest. All right, that's the highest level.
It's tough. And the horse Magic's talking about race 2, Toto Fino, the 5 horse, actually a really competitive second race in my mind. You have 2 5-2 shots, and then Toto Fino, I believe, is one of those 2, as well as a 2-1 shot on the board. A lot of speed in that race. We'll see what happens there, but I have Toto Fino on top there as well. As far as the distaff, Legs Galore looks really, really tough. I think Eddie's New Dream is a clear second choice as well. So you can play the cold 3-4 exacta. I did a preview video, spoiler alert, I went 3-4-5 for a cold try. Tried to get a little bit of spiciness there. Had Hector Barrios running up into third. Not overly thrilled with the inside 2 horses, and the turf efforts for the 5 I thought have been the best races we've seen from him.
I know if I go to the track today, Mrs. Magic's going to want to play some money on the 2 Rose Dawson, big Titanic fan.
I'm sorry, Magic. That's brutal.
You do Phil D'Amato exacta. Do the 3/2 exacta. Do the D'Amato barn. There you go.
Yeah, D'Amato has been pretty hot, especially those turf sprints. It's so hot right now. Oh, that Hensel. All right, Keeneland race number 9, the Qe2 Cup, a grade 1. We have 1 defector here. New Year's Eve is scratched out of this spot, so we're down to 6 horses. Your even money favorite is the 6 horse McCulloch. You've got a European Invader and Paris Peacock, the 7, and a California Invader from the Phil D'Amato barn, Bella Bell. Who's coming in here and Rispoli making the trip to ride this horse in the 5. Where did you go on top here, Magic? Is as simple as McCulloch and close the door?
No, and it's funny. I think it probably is, and that's not how you and I played this for the Magic Mike show. So many times, Chad Brown puts 2 horses in a grade 1 race or multiple horses in a grade 1 race, and we were like, oh, one of them for sure, the favorite, especially we're going to single that one, and it never works out. And so he's got 2 in here, and I'm using both the Chads. I know you're not using the other one, Gina Romantica, but we're both going 3 deep initially on this race. Like, yeah, this is the time. And then watch, McCulloch's going to win for fun. That's just how our luck goes. I mean, yeah, there's no reason to really talk much about her. She has been the best 3-year-old filly consistently in America this year. I like Gina Romantica because there really is a question about who's going to take the pace. Bella Bell has the fastest early time form pace ratings, but Flavian Pratt's drawn inside on the other Chad Brown horse, and he lost last time out to Faith and Humanity because that horse got an easy lead that she probably shouldn't have, wasn't able to catch her. I think being drawn inside, Pratt might try to put her on the muscle. She's done it before in the past. It was a smaller field, but if you look at the fractions from that Belmont optional claiming race that she won pretty much on the front end the whole way, those are the kind of fractions she should get here, if not a little slower. So I went that way, and then we, of course, both like the 7 Paris Peacock too.
Yeah, I kind of been trying to figure out how I can hit the all button for the bombs, to be honest with you, because the more I look at it, it's like, okay, I want to play the 5, 6, and 7 because I think Bella Bell is the speed of the speed, but I agree Gina Romantica could go. We saw this at Saratoga consistently. When there's multiple Browns, he's sending one. Clearly, you're not sending McCulloch here, so it would be Bella Bell that would go if that's they keep with that same strategy. I'm sorry, it's clearly be Gina Romantica who would go if they keep with that same strategy. Right. But Bella Bell is naturally faster, and coming out of California turf races, which are generally faster as well. Paris Peacock also been close to the pace over in Europe, but you would be surprised if she goes to the lead. So it's a tough race to handicap. And then like California Angel, who's now the illogical horse of the bunch, right? If you're talking about who's going to be longest shot on the board, has upset here before. So it's, it's kind of like if you think you can beat McCulloch, you don't want to beat McCulloch and not have the horse. And especially if you're going 3 deep in a 6-horse field, you almost kind of try and figure out, okay, can I hit the all button here? Can I find a way to single through this? And so I'm trying to work through how we're gonna make that happen. And we'll talk a little bit about my best bet, which is going to come from 2 Keeneland races in the later part of that sequence. So that may be one way, or if you do want to hit the all button in this spot, you can find a way to do it by singling 2 of the horses or singling 1 and going short in the other race, where I'm going to play a pretty heavy daily double. All right, let's jump into the best bets here. We'll kick it off with Papa Dude. He is going to go to Coastal Carolina -11. We've talked about Coastal Carolina quite a bit on this show. They were great last year. They're not as good this year, but their quarterback is back, and they've been able to consistently put up points. So Papa Dude going with Coastal Carolina, laying the 11 points. I didn't play this game, but I like Coastal Carolina. They're usually pretty good. They like to keep scoring. They play pretty fast. They have good offense, good defense. So good luck to Papa Dude. Coastal Carolina -11. All right, Magic, take us north of the border. Man, you look like a snow bunny over there. I'm telling you, you're all bundled up.
Listen, I'm nice and warm and cozy. It's very nice. By the way, this is the sweatshirt from our good friend and fan of the show, Sylvain. And then
Was
this
it
was
80 out there?
What's that?
Is it 80 out there?
Dude, actually, it's been pretty chilly. It's down to 60. It's 62 right now. This is
Brutal.
I'm actually very appropriately dressed in Los Angeles. This is how we dress when it's 62. Usually jeans and what are the big furry boots everybody loves that were popular? Anyway, not important. Here's the thing. Congratulations, Montreal Alouettes clinched a playoff berth last night. Tonight, we've got a team hosting the Toronto Argonauts and the Edmonton Elks. And if you've been paying attention to me all season long, the Edmonton Elks suck dick at home. They're absolutely terrible. I wanted to play Toronto to just win outright with the spread. It opened at 3. It very quickly went up to 6. Everybody else realized that 3 is a very bad number, so we didn't get in on that. Instead, the under is going to be the play here. The last time I played a Toronto Argonauts or picked a Toronto Argonauts game, they were facing Calgary, and I said, I'm going to play the under because Toronto's too up and down. They've got a good defense. Their offense, you can't trust them. What happened? They scored 2 points the entire game. It was a 29-2 game. This, to me, feels a lot more like a Thursday night football than an Alouettes Red Blacks game last night. It's going to be boring. I think it goes well under 50.5 here for the total. Edmonton is, again, they haven't won at home, and they've just been absolutely atrocious at home. Toronto Argonauts, they can score. They're good enough, but at 50.5 is way too many points to be trying to score with these two teams.
I trust you. I like it. Let's go. Let's get that under, baby. Honestly, I really enjoyed watching Canadian football last night. If you've not watched this league before, today may be a tough day to do it. There's a lot going on. You got college football. You got 3 major racetracks going with a mandatory pick 6 payout at one of them. A major tournament going on at Keeneland. Aqueduct's card's actually pretty good as well. We'll see all the scratches. I haven't checked it out yet. 3 of the 6 turf races are off. The other 3 decided to stay on, which is at least good news. Man, I was pissed yesterday that Zelda didn't end up running because I really like that 8-8 double, and the 8 in the last absolutely rolled. All right, let's head over to Keeneland. We got a couple of best bets coming. We'll start with race number 5. Aaron going with the 2 horse in this spot. He's going to play, Maluge. Did I get that right? Maluge?
Yeah, it was really, I think he picked this horse just because he wanted to make you have to say it live on there.
Maluche. So he's going to take Maluche, who ran well in the Canadian turf, misses Tamira Mission, comes back as your favorite in the Bernard Baruch, and just really not good. No bueno. But here we get second off the layoff. First time at Keeneland. This is a tough race. It's an interesting race as well because this is this specific race is an allowance, but there's some conditions on it. And you ended up with a really good field, including the 4 horse In Love, the 3 horse Kentucky Ghost. You got Current in here. You got Win From Within. Mr. Wireless even shows up in this spot. Magic, where did you go on top here? Did you like the play on the 2?
I understand why Aaron's playing it. If you scratch off the Baruch, the horse makes perfect sense. I went with the 4 In Love. That's my pick here. This horse won the Keeneland Turf Mile, a grade 1 race over this course last October. He hasn't had good form since then, but it's Paulo Lobo, and Paulo Lobo loves to get horses ready for Kentucky Downs and Keeneland. He did it with Ivar constantly. In Love to me just feels like a really, now I wish we were getting better than 3-1 with the kind of form he's been holding, but this isn't a stakes race. It's an allowance. So I get it. This is a grade 1 winner in this spot. I like him there. I also think the 8 Win From Within, if he catches a flyer out of the gate, look out.
Yeah, I thought this was really interesting. I used both the 2 and the 4. They were my top 2 picks. In Love was on top for me here. I do respect the 2 horse quite a bit. I think that the 2 of them have the best chance to win, but I thought Mr. Wireless and Win From Within, both dirt horses. Well, Win From Within, I started out dirt, went over to turf, ended up being a very successful turf horse. Should be one of the pace threats here. But Mr. Wireless, first time on turf here. There is some turf pedigree, and if it flips over and runs to the numbers on dirt, Mr. Wireless kind of fits here at 20-1 as well. I also love Mr. Wireless. I'm kind of shameless here.
A full sibling to Ain't Broke, a horse that I think is somewhere else on Saturday's Keeneland card. We talked about that horse. I know we did.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Ain't Broke. Let's jump over to my best bet of the day here. I am going to go to race number 7 at Keeneland, and I'm going to play a very, very, very aggressive daily double here in the 7th and 8th races. 7th race is a maiden special weight, $100,000 over the turf course going 1 mile. I'm going to play the number 4 horse, Worthington, in this spot. We talked about this one on the Magic Mike show quite a bit. And it's interesting because I believe now the 14 has drawn into this race, which is going to make it even more difficult. The 14 ran second last time out at Kentucky Downs, beating Worthington. But this is second start off a layoff. Worthington showed some speed in that race, breaking from the 11 post to Kentucky Downs, going 7 furlongs, just ends up getting out finished by Gaslight Dancer, who came back and ran second in a turf sprint stakes at Aqueduct. I'm sorry, ran third, came back and ran third, but Gaslight ran second in a stakes at Aqueduct last weekend. I think the post position is a huge edge here for Worthington. All of the other made contenders here are hung to the outside, specifically the 11 Ashcroft and the 14 Miranda Wrights. I feel like 7-2 is a very good price on it. And this is going to start out a pretty aggressive double for me if we can see the improvement I'm hoping for in Worthington. We're going to move on to the 8 Braith, and I'm going to single 8 Broke. The horse that Magic mentioned is a half.
No, full. It's a full to Mr. Wood. And I had
full.
No idea this was your best bet, by the way. I can't believe that I did that.
Is a full to Mr. Wireless, we mentioned earlier. Calhoun trains both of these horses. Look, Ain't Broke has a clear pace advantage. Ain't Broke is getting back to sprinting, which I think is what this horse really wants to do. Impressive last time, breaking its maiden, going 6 furlongs. We have not seen this horse since March 9th. I think this race is weak. I think that the 2 horse should not be 2-1. The other horses who I believe have a chance here are the 5 and the 6. Both of them are going to need to improve. The 5 horse can get way over bet because of the last time facing CC, but that number is inflated in my mind. And then you got the 6 horse here coming out of a Churchill allowance, but one at 26-1 and now comes back at 7-2. Ain't Broke on the rail at 4-1. This is going to be a nice daily double. We're talking probably 15-20-1, somewhere in that range if we're able to get it home. So I'm going to go with the 4-1 daily double in the 7th. Which leg loses, Magic?
Oh boy. Listen, the Worthington was my top pick in that race. I love it. And Ain't Broke was my second pick in race 8. To answer your question, if one of them loses, I think it might be this one, but the second leg. But God, Ain't Broke, if she gets back to that maiden special weight win last time out, and we talked about it, Dale Romans has the favorite at 2-1, and she's 1 for 12 lifetime. Like, she's coming off a career best buyer effort that was 10-12% better than her career best. Like, that just screams Bounce City. So this is a race where you want to try and beat the favorite. The 5 Scenic Masterpiece, you take one race out of there with the inflated buyer, and there's just nothing else on the form that's really exciting. The 6 was the other one that I used, but it's a filly, facing winners for the first time, just like the 1. The 1's drawn the rail and has speed. The 6 needs to come from off of it a little bit. So you have the right setup here. And like Michael also said in the chat, it's a really interesting daily double. If this connects, no offense to Papa Dude, he lost the last 2 days. This will make up for all of the losses.
Yeah, this would be a big hit for us. Look, these Saturdays, I think you have really good options on the racing side. I'm not as much of a college football savant as the other two, the 2 Halterman. So I'm going to look for more races here on Saturday. And this one to me jumped out, not just because, look, yeah, there's part of the best bet aspect where you want to pick a winner, right? But part of it is also where you want to find, like, hey, what is the thing that you're actually most excited about betting? And that's why this specific daily double jumped out to me, because I think you're going to get 15-20-1 on a daily double that we should be paying somewhere around the 8-10-1 range. And that to me is kind of the value part of a best bet as well, where it's like, hey, I'm okay with losing this a few times, because if it wins once, it's a massive win for obviously the best bets, right? So this is one that's a little more aggressive for me, but I think that the 4-1 both have a legitimate shot, and neither of them are the favorites on the morning line. So hopefully we can get this puppy home to have a big day for the show. All right, Magic, before I go over the best bets here, anything you want to sign off with?
What's Aaron's punishment going to be? Because his best bet yesterday won, but was 25 cents on the dollar.
Well, that's interesting you bring it up. Let's talk a little bit about Strobe. 25 cents on the dollar was wild to me. I'm surprised it was that low. Although our continued bet against horse just absolutely didn't show up as your
Mahamel ate shit.
I mean, it's amazing how much that race keeps on giving. Strobe, like, sprint. Are we going to go crazy here, or are we going to kind of take a little breather, take a step back, and stay away from the Breeders' Cup?
I forgot who is Strobe's.
Brad Cox.
Who's his trainer? Brad Cox. Go to the sprint.
And he loves this horse. Like, Love loves this horse. Like, it's unbelievable how high he is on Strobe.
Yeah, no, seriously, I would go to this sprint with him, because you have Jackie's Warrior, who you very clearly have seen not only lose the sprint, but you've seen him bleed this year. Like, that horse can lose, and you saw it with your own eyes. You have a horse who's up and coming. To me, the only other logical contender for Jackie's Warrior might be Elite Power, and that's a horse that, his bubble's big. At some point, that bubble will eventually burst on him. So at what point do you play against him? This is a very intriguing horse. You just worry that it's too much too soon, because we saw this happen with with Nashville, where they actually were going to try this sprint. Remember, they went to the undercard at Keeneland 2 years ago. He ends up breaking the track record and running faster than Whitmore did in the sprint, but then, he fell apart after that. So this horse has had some issues with staying healthy. We've seen that from a horse racing fan. I'd love to see them be a little careful, but if I'm the Connections, what I just saw over this exact same course, go to the sprint.
Yeah, in Breeders' Cup news as well, Asmussen mentioned that he is not going to have his 2-year-old colt, who was phenomenal at Keeneland, go on to the Breeders' Cup. They're looking at allowing his next time out. So we're not going to jump right off the deep water. 92 buyer, I believe it was, for that horse.
Extraordinaire.
Yeah, extraordinaire. There it is. The 92 buyer first time out, but is not going to go on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Sounds like we're going to point toward an allowance later in November. And then
AKA the Magic Mike Show's future first-round draft pick, because they said extraordinaire, meaning one more year after Epicenter. They're going to keep it going.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's the same Connections, yes, sir.
Oh, man. I was thinking more of the tequila way, but whatever. We'll allow extraordinaire be one more year as well. Tequila makes me more excited. Anyway, let's go to the best bets here. We got Papadou taking Coastal Carolina -11. Aaron going to Keeneland, race number 5, horse number 2, 2-1 on the morning line. Magic heading back north of the border with his beanie and his hoodie there, going Toronto and Edmonton under 50.5. Elks are terrible at home. That's what we've learned on the show. And I'm going to go to Keeneland, race number 7. I'm going to play an aggressive daily double here. We're going to go with the 4 and 1 for the week. We are 4 and 7, down $177 for the year, up $1,127 off $100 base bets. Hopefully we can keep this thing rolling. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We're back to our normal time, noon Eastern, for a massive day of NFL bets as well as some horse racing. Thank you very much for joining us. Good luck today, wherever you're playing, the track or on the football field, north or south of the border.